Welcome to Chaos2Cured podcast with Jeffrey Fried and Kirk Patrick Miller. Today, Jeffrey Fried is actually out of the country, so I have the pleasure of having Dr. Denise McDermott, an amazing psychiatrist and just a human being. So we're going to talk a little bit about what she's doing, and maybe jump into we didn't really have any particular topics. But I do feel like one topic I'd love to kind of talk about is how important it is for people to feel loved and cherished. So that's maybe a topic we'll dive in. But Dr. Denise, do you want to introduce yourself?
Well, first of all, Happy New Year, Kirk. It's wonderful to be on your show, and I really appreciate what you and Jeffrey are doing with the Chaos2Cured podcast.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you. And I know one of my favorite things that you have, trademarked and been a champion of is the word and the concept of neurostyle and living your neurostyle and beyond. I really would love for you to give people just a quick introduction into what that is and why you came up with it.
Okay, well, fantastic. So you asked me to say a little bit about who I am. I'm an adult and child integrative psychiatrist, an adoptive mom, host and producer of the Dr. Denise Show that's award nominated. And with humility and gratitude, I would say my son is my biggest teacher in this lifetime. Like many people listening, whether you're a parent, aunt, uncle, teacher, coach, I feel like the concept of embrace your neurostyle and beyond, it's really for all of us. And it actually integrates about the concept of awareness and self love. And what embracing your neurostyle and beyond means, first of all, the concept of neurostyle is that we all process and perceive information in our own unique way, all sentient beings, humans, animals, beings that we're not even aware of. And that's all about sensory perception. And as a doctor and working with now over 50,000 hour clients, we really want to take the shame out of the way we think about our own sensory perception, our own unique neurostyle. And so the concept of embrace your neurostyle and beyond is multidimensional. And it includes what I call the fabulous five: biological, psychological, social, cultural, spiritual, coupled with sixth sense intuition. So when you say neurostyle, instead of, I'm fine, I know I'm blessed, I've got the Western medicine training, people come to me, they want a diagnosis, we have scientific studies, neurotypical, neurodiverse, but everyone has a neurostyle. So it's a unifying term. And it's a term that people can use no matter what your situation is to really get someone to deep dive, understand yourself more, and for them to understand you.
Well, and it's so important for people to feel less shame when they're dealing with their mental health. There's, to this day, I know for a fact any person that goes to, it doesn't even matter if you're just going for marriage counseling. The moment people hear the word counseling or going to see a therapist or a psychiatrist, there is still that it's a different feel than if you say, "Oh, I'm going to go see the eye doctor or the dentist." It's literally the same thing, and I feel like we've stigmatized it to the point where, in a lot of ways, people are kind of scared to even talk to somebody because they don't want to have a label. And I mean, we've had big leaps and bounds in mental health, in terms of people helping tear down some of the stigmas. You have big, amazing, athletes and actors and superstars coming out and being open with their struggles. So we're making progress, but the word neurostyle, one of the things I love about it is it doesn't pinpoint any particular label to. So,
And also I feel like embrace your neurostyle and beyond. It's a call to action. And the word
yes.
embrace, even stopping and being in this moment and just breaking it down, because every word, thought, and action carries a vibrational frequency. So embrace your neurostyle and beyond is also a cognitive tool It's a cognitive reframing. It's based on all my years of understanding dialectical behavioral. I know that people that are NLP practitioners, it makes you, if you say embrace your neurostyle and beyond, and you truly write it down and think, well, what does that even mean to me? What does that mean to Kirk? What does it mean to the listeners? You start to realize that the story you tell yourself creates your reality. So to me, it's an interactive concept. It moves, it breathes. And yes, way to go on mental health destigmatization. But to me, there's different generational overlays because I'm fortunate to work with all ages. I think the younger generation, my son's age, the people in their 20s, even early 30s, have a lot less stigma and are way more open about talking about their feeling states. We'd have to look and go back in the media and see when the sort of the switch flipped. So I think it's also there's different generational overlays to more
I
and
would
less
agree,
stigma.
though. I'm definitely seeing in the younger generation being a lot more open about talking about it. And I do think that we are seeing that kind of tide change, which is really, really good. And yes, absolutely. When you say the word embrace and you said words carry a vibrational frequency, Bruce Lee, I'll paraphrase, but the quote something like, you always talk positively about yourself because your body doesn't know the difference. And he said, words have power. And he said, that's why they call them, or they put you under spell. That's why it's called
Oh
spelling.
my
I
God, you're making
believe
me
is some,
laugh. No, I literally printed out that quote and it's somewhere in my stairwell
love
because my
that quote.
son's into fitness. So I find it so cool that somewhere about 20 feet away from me, which I'm not going to stop the show to do, I actually have that quote. So I love that. And I also want to give credit and thanks to all the different people in different backgrounds, whether you're a psychiatrist, into martial arts, a spiritual leader, someone that's really thrived with their own neurostyle. You're the ones who really have all your own answers. I think it doesn't mean you don't go see a doctor. It doesn't mean you don't go to the gym. It doesn't mean you don't go to your holistic practitioner. But the other thing about embracing your neurostyle and beyond, it's an empowerment statement. And I think when you asked at the beginning, how can we integrate talks about love and self-love, it all starts with an awareness.
Absolutely.
So once we
Absolutely.
have an awareness to our own sensory style and we can take away the judgment, like for instance, there's times when I'm not as good with tech, but then everyone's like, Denise, you're really good. I'm like, well, wait a second, why isn't my computer working? Or, I mean, then I'm like, Denise, don't judge yourself. Give yourself credit for everything you do know how to do. So it becomes an exercise of reminding ourselves that we can be our own best friend with the words we choose, or we can actually work against ourselves.
Well, it's interesting because everyone, I think, from the moment you're born and throughout life, people are always under in my opinion, the misperception that they know everything about themselves. And that just once you start kind of questioning like your own actions, like, and as you said, you get to know yourself. Once you know what your particular strengths are, you can lean into them. And there's
Yeah.
so many amazing, you know, honestly, I would say superpowers that come along with different types of thinking. And everyone that understands themselves, they're the ones that typically succeed. So it incentivizes people to look inwards, and that's I think a very important step because for a long time until you really know who you are, and like I guess for me, um, you know, I can relate to the word. I wish it were around a little earlier because the new, different approach towards mental health is, I think, a much better approach. You have doctors looking at metabolic health, they're looking at, sleep, good nutrition. So we're moving in all of the right directions. And I think in 2024, that's one of the things that's going to remain on my mission and my to-do list is to continue to kind of follow the data and continue to help the people that I can. And a lot of that is by sharing some of my own struggles. Like recently, if somebody's listening to this show, I talked about microdosing and coming off of a benzodiazepine, and that is a really horrific process. But I don't want to shame the medication either because it really helped me when there weren't other options, and I went through every option. So I think by telling our own stories and then being open, and as you said, you're seeing psychiatrists on social media that are talking. You're seeing, you know, uh, physical fitness athletes, professionals of all different fields starting to kind of give their own personal experiences. And I'm seeing more common threads, and I think we're actually getting more data and we're all healing. That's what I hope to be happening. I know there's a lot of division in the media. I don't like to use the word the media because it sounds like I'm blaming somebody, but I would say that headlines that are negative definitely get more clicks and a
Yeah,
lot of
well,
how.
that's
Go
so
ahead.
interesting. So, a couple things. Number one, I agree with everything you're saying. Number two, I want to thank you for being someone that's, since the time we've met, I think back in 2016, you let me know how game changing the concept of embracing your neurostyle and beyond. And I will be relaunching our show we did that we recorded September of 2021 later this month on the Dr. Denise show. And I'm doing a deeper dive. You asked what it's up for 2024. It's everything that I'm already doing, but deeper diving. And I think that's a kind of a great roadmap for all of us. I want to give everyone sort of permission to go deeper in their own self love, deeper in their own awareness, and anything that you're wanting to accomplish in your life. So I'm growing the Dr. Denise show and I'm doing it by higher level production. I've got new music, I've got integrative songs that are going to be birthed. And my other shout out to action is now that I've got the framework, the respect and integrity with podcasting. Now I'm going to be doing videos. I want to create communities and collaborations with people that match the level of integrity. I think part of awareness and self love is once you get to that point and you're wanting to give back to the world. Like, I want to say thank you to Kirk because Kirk is gifted as a musician. He's gifted as a teacher. He's gifted as an artist. He's gifted as a scientific explorer and in his own health and wellness journey. So for me, it's such an honor to be on your show, but also an honor to know you. And I think I want everyone to kind of challenge themselves, like who's in your inner circle? What's your own continued growth pattern? So for me, 2023, I kind of just knocked it out of the park, to be honest with you, with my own self-love tour. My son's thriving. I'm a single mom. But now I want to attract even deeper relationships with people like yourself. So for me, to be January of 2024 and to be back on your show, have you back on mine, and look at all that you're doing for your health and well-being and helping others. And then I'm like, wow, this is so exciting. Kirk's worked so hard. I can't wait to work with you even more and help other people. And that's it. I mean, that's really that simple. Just do more of everything I'm doing and attracting great people that really have the win-win. I mean, when you work with people, it's so nice when it's like 1 + 1 is infinity. And that's the
Yes.
opposite of much of the world. Much of the world is very still in the old ways of
Give,
lack of
take.
intimacy, more or less. And by the way, some of that's just the way the linear language is. The human language is not as freeing as music or telepathy. And one of the reasons why I did embrace your neurostyle and beyond is because I'm blessed with intuition and I have clear knowing and clear feeling. And most of us have different levels of telepathic connections. And I believe one of the reasons why you and I have connected is there's been times when I got your name in my mind and I just reached out and called you and it was like a win. You know what I'm saying? And I think the collective consciousness, as we grow more in our own deeper self-love and embracing our own unique neurostyle and beyond, we're going to realize how important we are to one another. So the more we are able to provide just the basic sustainability of food, shelter, clothing, and a sense of purpose, and once we're at that level of non-stress, we can realize how important it is even more to help our neighbor. It's kind of that simple. It really is all about love, and I don't want to be cliche. I mean, so I feel like
No, I
I want
agree.
to I want to challenge everyone each day, like even today, like part of being kinder for a specific example today is my son's homesick and he was so sweet last night. He's like, Mom, stay away from me. I'm starting to cough. I know you have a lot of patience this week. And then 5 in the morning or 5:45, he's like, Mom, I really love school. I don't want to miss. I said, sweetheart, you need to miss, but we'll just take it easy. And by the way, Kirk, I looked at my entire week and I changed every single person I could to telehealth, Zoom. I am feeling great right now, knock on wood. I'm going to drink lots of fluids. But I think we still have to have self-care as the new cool. We have to have what I say deep play, divine, exquisite, ethereal, peaceful play. And once we're in our state of awareness and self love, then we have more energy to give others. And it's just all that simple, I think.
I agree. Well, people that are listening, you can jump back to a previous show where we talked about the importance of play. In all things, if you enjoy your life, if you enjoy your whatever you're doing, you're going to get more out of it. So if you're trying to learn something, if you have fun doing it, it'll stick. Your brain just works better when you're enjoying. So I think when we're in a state of love and gratitude and giving, we are always in a more, I would say, a more plastic state mentally. If we want to be really, I bet you could actually study this. I think people probably that are in a state where they're angry probably are in a less plastic state. So you're not going to learn as well. You're going to struggle a little bit more. So by taking the step all the time to appreciate ourselves, so self care and self love is really important because until you really are happy with exactly who you are and exactly what you have, it was hard for me to move past that. So I kept getting tripped up or stuck in loops where, you get financial success and then it falls apart, or right relationship success and then it falls apart. Once you really believe in yourself, things click. So I love your message. If people really jump into loving themselves, and I don't mean that you never want to be in the egotistical state, but being humble in that love, and also making sure the biggest gift you can give someone else that is struggling is not advice. It's not anything else. It's just love. It's genuine love. That's something
Well,
you
wait, I'd
can't
love to
match.
I actually want to just respond to some of what you just said. I think when you're in a moment with another human being or a sentient being, there's different languages of love. And so let's just be tangible. If someone's faced with a feeling state of really intense depression, anxiety, social anxiety, OCD, any mood state where you're in distress, one simple thing you could do to hold sacred space that is exactly what you're talking about. How do you show someone love? You can ask them specifically, how can I show up for you right now? Do you need me to listen? Can I get you something? Do you need a hug? Do you need a referral? Sometimes people have sensory overload if they feel someone else is feeling so much that they're almost paralyzed with not knowing what to do. And you can even name it to claim it. You can say, I have so much compassion for you right now. I often say my hands on my heart, which I do a lot. It's one of my strategies. I take a deep breath because I'm very empathic. Like sometimes, especially if I haven't had enough sleep or too many patients, I could start crying. And it's not because I'm sad. Sometimes it's because I feel all the people's feelings at once. Because if we're very tuned in, we all have different vibrational frequencies. And I've been recently saying, Kirk, that I practice universe medicine, which integrates Western, Eastern, holistic health, and also just the quantum universe. So when you look at different feeling states and how can you show up for someone in love, everyone's going to need a different form of love. And if you want to just get super close to someone, you could just ask them, how can I show up for you? What do you need from me right now? That's simple.
I 100% agree. And those types of, honestly, when somebody's there, they're not always able to uh, answer. So oftentimes my mom would ask me a question when I was in a state of deep, depression, or like you said before, huge anxiety during a panic attack. I've had people come up to me and ask what they could do. Usually in those states, I was not able to verbally communicate what anyone could do because I didn't understand what was happening physically, mentally, definitely with the depression when it's that dark, when you can't really think. It was hard. So I couldn't communicate, but the question itself was enough to kind of like give me a sense that someone cared. And my mom was never pushy about it. So she'd ask, and when she didn't get a response, she wouldn't keep bugging me because that didn't always help. But sometimes she would also just sit in the room and she'd ask and say, do you mind if I just sit here? She could go grab a book or something like that. Just the presence of somebody and just knowing they care enough to do that was often, I think, a tipping point for me where it just gave me enough hope to hang on sometimes. So it's just showing up for people. And I love that wording. So, how can I show up for you? How can I help you? Ask those questions and love the people for all that they are. We can all find flaws in others. That's easy to do. When you constantly look for the good in people, you just life's happier. It's more enjoyable. So, those are some of the things that we'll be talking about on the show. Of course, we will be having Dr. Denise back for very, some serious stuff when we get into talking about medications and other issues. But
Well, I'm going to
um,
be really honest with you. I stay away. It's really interesting. I'm not a big talk about medicine on shows. And my reason for that is because I'm not against medicine. I'm glad that it's one of the tools in the toolbox that I have. But I was really analyzing my own brand. I'm so glad I went to medical school and I have those tools and I value that. But I think one of the most important things people can do when they go to their doctor or they go to seek help is remember that good nutrition, fitness, prayer, looking at anything of your own genetics, your own anti-inflammation, your own resiliency. And I think for me personally, I've sort of stayed away. I've never really had a show about medicines because no one's ever really viewed me as a pharmacologist, and I don't view myself that way. So I'm okay with saying a medical doctor and I have that background. But I think the kind of work that I'm going to keep on doing is pushing the envelope of the bridge of science, spirituality, and consciousness. Because
you actually match. Go ahead. Sorry.
the more we stay in a place of non-judgment, my understanding from all sentient beings and how I understand the universe is that the evolution of humans, we're here to practice non-judgment and self-love. And so if the minute someone hears Dr. Neeson, they think I'm going to prescribe, which I've been blessed here in Manhattan Beach and the South Bay to be known as the opposite of that. So I'm going to stay away from talking about meds. If you want to go to other podcasts where you can just talk to psychopharmacologist doctors, they're out there, but I'm going to go the opposite of that. I'm going to stay as an MD, but I'd love to. One of my other big goals, and it's already in motion, and this is why I'm here on your show, is I want to have a separate, we've been talking about this for greater than 3 years now, but you've set the foundation with your Chaos2Cured, all your body of work, Jeffrey has. I want to form communities where people know they can come like once a month and just maybe it can be like a general question and answer and support. And then we could help give people some tips to go back into their communities wherever they are in the world. So I won't be acting as a medical doctor, but I am a medical doctor. And that way more people can get some help because I think a lot of people can't afford to see doctors like,
Absolutely. They
and I
they
have
need the
so much
help.
knowledge.
That it's needed. And honestly, if people follow the research, it's looking more and more and more like there's a lot we can do with our bodies and our minds that don't require the medications. This is not to say that you
Yeah.
should stay away from them or not. Make sure you speak with your physician and make the
Well,
choice with
yeah.
them.
Well, the
So
bottom line is this is really pushing the envelope. I'm super blessed with my own giftedness of intuition, and I honestly attracted through my own gifts. Meeting with Tom Massari, who has been a 51-year channeling sleep medium, and he automatic wrote a book called Conversations with an Alien 24 years ago. And what it talks about consciousness is many people who have been deemed quote unquote insane or lacking sanity here on Earth are just so connected to energy and vibration and consciousness that it's hard to separate things through time and space. And so to me, we've got 8,100,000 souls, each human vibrating at different energy. So we need to look at Western medicine, Eastern medicine, holistic health, what's going on with the environment, what's going on with mold, what's going on with epigenetics, functional genomics. We need to work with our spiritual leaders, our intuitives, all of it. And that's why I say I practice universe medicine. And I'm at the cusp of that, and so are you. But with humility and gratitude, hand on my heart, I infinity loop back to everyone that you have your own answers. You just have to pick the right team. So, how do you trust your own intuition and you pick your own right team and you don't judge meds, you don't judge only meditation, only nutrition, because there are times when meds are life saving. So that's why
absolutely,
I
absolutely.
practice universe medicine now. And that includes an open mind and that includes attracting people like yourself who've been on a journey of self-love. And also the most creative people use their imagination and use their intuition. So we just need to have grace. We just need to have humility. We just need to do the work and we just need to find the right team. All of us do. And we
I
keep growing up.
100% agree. So
We keep growing
we'll
up
have you
every day.
back in we'll talk about that because this is one of the things that Jeffrey's also very passionate about nutrition and epigenetics and all of this stuff. So we will have you back. It has been a pleasure to have you. Thank you for taking your time. And please, people, I'll put in the show notes where you can find her
I would say
and
Dr.
all about
Denise,
Dr. Denise.
DrDeniseMD.com is the way to go.
There
And I
you
just
go.
you, Kirk, for all that you're doing, and Jeffrey as well. I'm really appreciative of all the hard work and time and love you put into everything you're doing.
Well, we really appreciate all the listeners and you as well. Thank you for being an example of a great doctor and somebody who's really passionate and loves her craft and her patients. It makes a huge difference. So people have a wonderful day, and we will be back next week. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to Chaos2Cured podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please share it with everyone you know, and definitely like, follow, and subscribe. Certainly leave a comment if you'd like. Let us know what you'd like us to talk about the next time. Also, in our show notes, there should be direct links where you can follow us on our social media, as well as reach out to us directly. Thanks again, and have a great day. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed on Chaos2Cured podcast are the speaker's own. All discussion is based on our own experiences. We do not and cannot guarantee the accuracy or completeness of any information. Chaos2Cured podcast cannot give medical or health advice. All discussion is based upon our personal experiences and meant for general and educational purposes. This podcast is not a substitute for professional help or for diagnostic purposes for yourself or another. Chaos2Cured podcast always encourages you to consult an appropriate professional.